Hi everyone, I'm Sean with Task Force Swift, and today we're going to be reviewing the GMP Stoner 63 Mark 23. When I first got this gun a few years ago, it was a gun that was really exciting for me. It was the first time I actually saw a Stoner 63 of any kind really get created, and I was happy that it was created by a solid manufacturer. When I first got it a few years back, I was extremely impressed with the build quality on this gun. Normally I think GMPs are very solid in their build quality, but this gun seemed to be a little bit better than most other GMP weapons. The gun looks great, it feels great, it's solid, and there's no flexing anywhere in the body. And what's more impressive on this gun is that 4 years later, this gun still doesn't squeak, rattle, or flex and feels just as strong as it was the day I got it out of the box. And that's impressive because 4 years, things come loose, they can change, and this gun's seen a lot of use, so definitely giving GMP top marks for build quality. The gun is full metal construction inside and out. The full metal external points would include the receiver, the feed tray on top, the heat shield with V-vents, the one-piece barrel, and the front and rear sights. Internally, this gun is using GMP's M120 high-speed motor, the long type, not the short type. Personally, I'm a fan of this motor because I run it in 6 other AEGs in stock form, and it's treated me well over the years, and they consistently produce high rates of fire. This gun is also using GMP's very own version 2 style gearbox with 8mm bearings. Now, some people don't like version 2 gearboxes inside a suppression weapon, and as someone that's running, a total of 5 MGs that have a version 2 style gearbox in it, I can say that I haven't had any issues, and they've all seen a decent amount of use. So I can't say anything bad about this gun having a version 2 style gearbox in it. The gun does come with most everything that you see here. It does come with the 1200 round auto winding box magazine, and personally I'm a fan of this box magazine for a couple of reasons really. And while the first reason is pretty obvious, it's lasted 4 years with no issues. And that's impressive. And while it may not look as impressive as the Krytac Trident's box mag, where it's made out of a really heavy-duty plastic, it still doesn't change the fact that this box mag has lasted 4 years without really any issues. The other thing that I really like about this box mag is it does a really good job of making sure that you're always being fed BBs, even when you're low on ammo. So I can't say anything bad about the box mag for this, really. The battery compartment is located in the stock of the weapon. Just remove 2 screws and you'll see a Dean's type connector waiting for you. Now, Dean's isn't always the most popular battery type out there, so for those of you that don't have a Dean's type and you don't want to buy a Dean's type battery, you can just spend $4 or $5 when you get this weapon and get an adapter that goes from Dean's to small or Dean's to large. And the great thing about this battery compartment is, while it doesn't look to be the biggest battery compartment, it's actually quite spacious inside. I've fit up to a 9.6 volt 3800 millihenries battery large type with the Dean's to large type connector for the extra wiring, and this battery compartment has completely stowed it safely. Now, the only things I have really come across that don't fit it is obviously the 10.6 and 8 volt batteries that are meant for crane stock weapons, or stick type batteries for an AK or something like that. But for the most part, if you have like an 8.4 9.6 large or small type battery or a nunchuck style battery, it will fit in this weapon. The hop-up unit on this gun is located where the breech would be. The flap normally comes down. I own 2 of these. They've always been down. You can push it up, you can pull it down, but I leave it down. And I love this hop-up unit for a couple of reasons, really. The first reason is it's easily accessible. I mean, you can sit there on the field and adjust the hop-up on the fly quite quickly and easily, which is a great thing because, say hypothetically you run .25s in this gun and your buddy only has .2s or .28s, you can quickly re-zero this gun to optimize it for those specific BBs that you're now having to use in a pinch. And the other reason why I really like the hop-up unit on this gun is it's extremely strong for a stock AEG. I found that this actually tends to outrange some modified AEGs in its stock form. The hop-up unit helps it gather a really long range, and it helps it produce consistent shot-after-shot results. In fact, some people on my team have dubbed this thing as a laser because all you see is just a stream of white BBs all going to the same place. So now we've talked about what the gun comes with and our first impressions of it. Let's talk about the goodies. This gun is rated at 350 FPS out of the box, and while that's not particularly ground-shattering, it's still solid for all fields, really. So this is a weapon that you shouldn't have any engagement distance problems with or anything like this. This is a green tape weapon. Not much is really advertised about the rate of fire on this weapon, where people like KWA will advertise 20 BBs a second. And not that there's nothing wrong with that, it's actually a very smart thing to advertise something like that. I just wish that, GMP did its own advertisement for this weapon, because its rate of fire is well above average. We do a performance test later in this review, which has a chrono session, and as you will see, this is doing around that 20 BBs a second marker, which is above average. Now, while nothing here is particularly ground-shattering, so to speak, with this weapon from a performance or on paper spec sheet, but what is impressive is how it is on the field. I own about 30 other primary weapons right now, and this is arguably one of my best field weapons, because it takes that good rate of fire, good FPS, that long engagement distance, and puts it into a form factor that you don't see every day. I own quite a few MGs that range from the stereotypical like M249 to the not so stereotypical Krytac Trident LMG, and I can say that none of them feel this good on the field. The weight dispersion on this gun is great, it's not nose heavy, and I haven't really found a scenario with this weapon that it feels, out of place. I've used it in room clearings, I've used it in tight spaces in the field and in open fields, and it's just always at home is how it feels. It's not bulky, and to be honest, if you can carry an M16 around all day or an M4, you can carry this around all day. It's just a very light, portable, compact weapon that can seriously lay out some hate. Alright, so I have a saying that no gun is without its faults, and despite this being a really great gun to me over 4 years of use, it doesn't change the fact that I have had some speed bumps with it along the way. I would probably say the worst speed bump I've had with this gun was actually a result of user error. When I first got this, I was unaware that I needed to set the motor height when I got the gun. I naturally thought it had this whiny sound when it shot, and lo and behold, I stripped a pinion gear in the motor. So it was a quick and easy fix. I can post up a video on how to adjust the motor height and do a motor replacement on this if you ever needed to, but I don't hold it against this gun, because if you look at the bottom of this one, which you probably won't come up on video, there's no Loctite in the screw. I have a second Stoner 63 that is about 6 to 8 months of age that I got just because I wanted to rail it and have one Vietnam era and the other a little bit more of a modern twist on it. And one thing I noticed on the new Stoner 63s that are coming out right now, they have Loctite on the bottom screws. They don't have an unnatural winding sound to them when you shoot it, so I can't hold it against the gun. GMP's already taken note to this situation, and they have fixed it, and as a new consumer, it's not something that you would have to worry about. The next thing that I noticed with this gun is that even though it comes with a 1200 round auto-winding box mag, and you think that you're good to go with it, you realize that the gun's rate of fire can empty this 1200 round box mag pretty quickly once you get into the thick of it. And considering this is a $400 to $450 weapon, it is kind of annoying that you're going to most likely want to shell out another $100 to $110 for a spare box mag for this. It's naturally a smart thing to have for an MG in my opinion, just in case you have a jam or a battery die, but it still turns this from a fairly affordable MG to making it fairly expensive, to say the least. And that kind of leads into my next point. This gun doesn't have rail space. The only way that you're going to get rails on this weapon is if GMP decides to make more of their railed Stoner 63s and actually bring those back to the United States, which I haven't seen since it was first introduced. So if you want rails, you're going to have to spend another $85 just to have the rail kit installed for the front and top of the weapon. And the whole point of me bringing this up is that when you add a spare box mag and when you add the rail kit to this gun, should you deem it really necessary, it becomes a very expensive MG, and one of the more expensive MGs on the market at that point in time. And that is something that I did hold against it. And finally, the only other real issue I've had with this gun is out of the 3 box mags that I own for it, I've had one jam on me in 4 years. It was a pretty quick and easy fix, but it's still jammed. It's still something that's worth noting, but it really isn't that serious because 4 years with this much use, it was kind of bound to happen at some point. But now that we've given you the good and the bad with this gun, let's continue on with our review and see how this thing does for its performance test. Alright, so here is the 80-foot target for the GMP Stoner 63. As you can tell, there's a lot of penetration power, and you're really not going to have much of an issue hitting your target from 80 feet away. Here is the 140-foot target. I didn't really have a whole lot of time to shoot this target since it fell down from enough impacts, but as you can tell, still a lot of penetration power on this target, and the accuracy is pretty good. So there again, if you're engaging someone from 140 feet away, you are not very likely to miss them. Finally, we have the 180-foot target. Not really much penetration power. It looks like there were some partial penetration marks through here, but not quite like you saw on the 80 and 140-foot markers. But what's still impressive is if you look through here, there's still some grouping, and there's still enough penetration marks on this paper at least to let me know that if you can shoot a target out to 180 feet easy with this, and your target is going to know that they're hit. And in fact, this is probably one of the better 180-foot targets that I've actually done. So very impressive at 180 feet for a stock AEG. Alright, so to wrap things up, I want to give the GMP Stoner 63 Mark 23 a 90 out of 100 on my scale. And that puts this gun at the outstanding category for me. And that's exactly what this gun is. It is an outstanding weapon. Whenever a gun sees as much use as this has for 4 years and it hasn't produced any real issues, that's an impressive weapon. And what's best is not only is it reliable, but it manages to do a better job than most other MGs on the market today, but it does it in a better form factor, in my opinion. In my opinion, this is one of the very best form factors for a suppression weapon on the market. It's light, it's nimble, it never feels bulky, and it just has really good performance characteristics when you're on the field. It really does. So I would highly recommend this gun to anyone that is looking for a suppression weapon. This should be towards the top of your list. And if you're just looking for another primary weapon, you have the money to spend, I would also highly recommend that you get this gun. Trust me when I say you will not regret it. If you have any questions on this, feel free to post up in the comments section below, or if you have any constructive criticism, also feel free to post it in the comments section below. Or you can also hit us up on our public Facebook page, Task Force Swift, or our Instagram, which is also Task Force Swift. I will put all that information in the description box below, along with some links to some combat footage for this gun so you can see it in action. And I would say tune in the next couple weeks for our review on the Ares M110. I'm Sean with Task Force Swift. See you then.